Well, this wasn't our typical play 38 minutes and then blow it. This was a little different, and I'm supremely disappointed in the way it came about, because I thought it came down to sort of rebounding and toughness, something that we typically do pretty well. And I know those guys in the locker room know that, and they're disappointed, especially coming in here for Joe's last weekend. So, but we've got more basketball to play. So with that, I'll open it up to questions.
Great to look at the stat sheet. You guys had more second chance points. The rebound disparity was only 3. Did it feel a lot worse than that?
Well, you know, that's why you can't always use these stat guys, because it doesn't take into consideration time and situation. And you make these guys miss when you're only down 2 or 1 or 4, and they get put back after put back. Those are important second chance points, and if you're not matching them on those, it just, you know, it makes the stat sheet doesn't look as dire as it actually is.
A couple of defensive lapses in the second.
Oh my goodness! I mean, you know, it was kind of like it's what I was hoping we wouldn't have happen, where we're looking at someone else to do a job rather than just hustling over and doing it ourselves. And so there were some bad lapses. That's what I mean, Curtis. This wasn't our typical type of game. I mean, you know, we were very laissez-faire in certain situations, in key situations, and it's almost like it's almost as if psychologically we didn't want to win this game.
Can you talk about how foul trouble affected you guys in the second half? Just
well,
team fouls.
It didn't feel really like it was the foul trouble that bothered us, because I thought the game was called fine, you know, not overly for them or overly for us. I thought we had an advantage in the first half, and then they had the advantage in the second half. So you got to sort of play through all of that. And then there was a discrepancy, but we got a little bit more aggressive, and we got to the foul line, so it was a little bit better. And I was not subbing because of fouls. I was subbing sort of offense, defense.
Was that the Jamal Reed
and Devon? Yeah. Well, you know, Jamal was getting rebounds and Devon wasn't, and that was the reason for that. Just very, very plain, very simple.
What do you say to a guy like Eric Moreland, who kind of had his chances but maybe shied away from some contact? Or
yeah, what I actually told him is that you have to decide whether or not this season still means something. You know, it looked like it meant more to them than it did to us, and that's the danger you run in playing the way we have this season. And you know, there's no need to yell and scream. I mean, you know, these guys have a game plan. They follow the game plan. We win. They don't follow the game plan. Sometimes you still win, but not this season. You don't have enough horses to not do what you need to do, not execute, and still win games.
you talk about key moments, you know, and not showing up on the stat sheet. It seemed like that Moreland turnover there late, where he just threw it into the bench, really kind of broke the back.
Well, there were a couple of them there. There was the one he did a great job to get an offensive rebound, bring it back out, and then he throws it to Charlie, right to Charlie's man, and then he throws the one out of bounds. But, you know, it wasn't any one person's mistakes that cost us. You know, it was a team effort, and I take full blame. I want these guys to know I still have confidence in them. And you guys have been with us at most of our games. This was one where we let them beat us with our effort in the second half, as opposed to losing it on some key plays down the stretch.
Have you been trying to impress on them, Greg, that you can't coach them to have urgency?
You know, I'm trying, Stephen, to do that, but I don't want them to feel that I'm laying everything on them. It's a real delicate balance this season. I've been trying to keep their confidence up, keep their aggression up, but I'm also trying to kind of turn the reins over to them, because ultimately, you know, I can't play. The coaching staff can't play. None of us can play. They have to actually execute. And it's a learning process. And, you know, I was talking to someone, I can't remember, but I'll share this with you guys. When you're turning a program around like this, and the bulk of the 4 of the 5 years, you're working at coming from behind 20-point deficits. You know, that's what we got good at. Now you have to get good at playing games where you're head-to-head with people for the whole game. Learn behavior. So I'm trying to keep that into consideration when I'm teaching these guys how to do it. I'm trying to give them a little bit of instruction, and I'm not cracking the whip. I don't feel like it's a crack the whip time. It's just we got to work through this and learn how to be a better team.
Was Lamont feeling okay, or was it an off night?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess he was okay. He didn't say anything before the game, but it was a very off night for him. He didn't seem like he was in sync from the very start. And you know, you can play this game and not have great offensive numbers if you're hustling and playing D. And he didn't feel like he was quite in a good frame of mind or in sync today.
And just numbers-wise, it seemed like Houston and Powell were two guys your team just really struggled to slow down tonight.
Well, you know, it's funny because if you look at the points in the paint, I could say the same thing about them with us. It's just that at the key times when you had to get stops and get the defensive rebound, we didn't do that. So in those instances, those guys overpowered us. Just not used to seeing it, so it's quite frustrating. But we still have games to play, so I gotta keep these guys motivated to not let this happen again.
I think something that was talked about with Berto and Joe was piggybacking off what was going on earlier with Eric, was him being maybe a little too unselfish and not having that killer instinct around the basket. Would you like him to have that?
Oh, listen, I want him to dunk the ball every time he gets it. But again, this gets back to the personality of our team. We have such and you've heard me say this, a wonderful group of guys to coach. They are terrific. You guys all interview them. They're all great. They're nice kids. And you need some killers out there at times. And you need some leaders out there at times. I think those come hand in hand. And our two leaders and killers are on the bench, and that's Angus and Daniel Gomez. So somebody's got to step up, and I'm trying to find out who that person's going to be. I've spent the whole season trying to find out who that's going to be. I think Eric is still sort of young in his maturation process. He's not ready to be the guy to go to and be productive offensively every time. He feels very comfortable playing defense and getting rebounds, as you can see. Roberto certainly can be productive on the offensive end, but can he be as good on the defensive end? I think he can. It's just a matter of will. That it? Sure? All right, we'll see you Saturday. Bring your handkerchiefs.